Hey, man.
All right. How's it going?
Doing good. How about you?
I'm all right. Just finished having some dinner and stuff like that, so life is good again. Where do you live?
I'm in Michigan, like an hour north of Detroit.
Yeah.
You guys have come through here, right?
Yeah, I think we've done a couple of times in the past, yeah.
Yeah.
How are things over there right now?
You know, they're Detroit's kind of like a hot spot for all this shit going on, so
Yeah.
we are we're in lockdown like a little longer than a lot of these other spots. So I've been off work for like a couple months.
Yeah, right. Is that holding up all right for you though?
Yeah. You know, we've got unemployment going on. They're being pretty generous with that. So it's really not too big of a difference. I mean, it's extra family time. You know what I mean?
That's nice to hear at least.
Yeah. What about over there? Is it hit you guys pretty bad or no?
I think Denmark was out a little bit earlier than most other countries, really. So we kind of locked down when it all just hit us immediately. I found out that just the night before everything was presented. So we are starting to open up again now, pretty much everything, just with like certain conditions and precautions taken. But
yeah,
pretty much everything is back in action though. I've been working most of the time anyway, so it didn't really affect me too much.
Yeah. That's good. Is your main thing Extremely Rotten Productions? Is that like your main gig?
No, it isn't though. I work as a janitor part-time at a college.
Okay. So a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah, pretty much just like maintenance and stuff like that.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, this is like, we just do like a podcast, we do interviews, we do our own discussions and all that. So I won't take too much of your time, man. I just wanted to chat a little bit. Like I said, I'm a big fan of all your projects and stuff. So we can dive into some of that stuff if you don't mind.
Yeah, not at all. It all sounds fun to me. I never tried doing an interview like this before either, so...
Okay, cool.
It's all just a learning process for me as well. I'm just embracing as much as I can.
Right. Well, like, first of all, man, I mean, when did you get into just, like, guitar or music? Like, was that, like, an early thing for you, or is that something that came on later in life?
I only really just got into music rather late, as I was, like, 10 or 11 or something like that. Before that, I never really had much of an interest. But then I started discovering various music, and some friends and we decided we needed to start a band. So it's like, all right, you're going to learn to play the drums, and you'll play the bass, and I'll play the guitar, and you'll play the guitar, and that was how I picked up on that.
Okay.
The band never came into being, but that's how I started playing guitar.
Right. Was it simple stuff, or was it even metal at that point, or no?
I think we were just like influenced. We wanted to sound like Nirvana and Alice in Chains and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Who was the person that got you going with the death metal stuff? Like, what was the first one for that, or even just metal in general?
I think just watching MTV at the time, I listened to the radio when there was certain like specials on more extreme music that got me intrigued. And then all the kids at school and around when you got presented to that kind of thing and what you read in magazines. So it's just a little bit of everything, I guess.
Yeah, it wasn't like the one friend or the older brother or anything like that.
No, I was a little bit more loose and just discovering things on my own in a lot of ways, I guess.
Yeah. I always say like I had a weird experience because I found out like I was getting into more of the, I don't know, not the metal I want to talk about nowadays, but I had a history teacher and he would he would be like, oh, you like that band? And then he would just give us something that was, he would give us Repulsion and shit like that. And he like really helped us out. That was really cool.
That's very cool. I heard a lot of stories like that actually, especially about like the teacher bringing over tapes and CDs for the students that seemed interested in that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It made going to class like a little more fun,
I bet. It's been a whole lot different. When I go to my work at the school and I'm wearing like a death metal shirt, I can just tell the kids just think I'm a fucking loser. So it's a whole different situation, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't even know. I guess do you ever see people walking around in school now with like death metal shirts on or anything like that, or what are the kids wearing right now? Well,
the school I work at is pretty much like a very alternative school.
Okay.
So it's more focused. There used to be a lot of punks going there, but you still see some people who like. Sometimes I meat people that are going to the shows that we do and set up and stuff like that also. And sometimes people come to me at shows and like, oh man, you're my grumpy janitor. I'm like, oh, this sucks. Well, then sometimes they like it, sometimes they don't. Yeah,
Right.
It's a mixed thing, I guess. But we do have like the people into metal at the school too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe you could slip them a CD here or there.
Yeah, that's right. I put up the posters at the school and stuff like that when we do things, at least.
Oh yeah, there you go.
And then I hide again so they don't know it's me.
What? So I mean, we didn't mention it here, but obviously you're from Denmark. I think Copenhagen, right?
Yeah, I live in Copenhagen.
Yeah. So, I mean, what was the scene? Was there a strong scene like when you were growing up around that time, or when did that start hitting?
I grew up north from here, like half an hour or something like that by car, a little hour with public transportation. Where I grew up, there was nothing going on. It was close to a sort of bigger city called Helsingør, where there was a little bit of a scene and a venue or two. But it was really Copenhagen and going in here, which was where it was all about. So when I started doing that, I just realized that I needed to be in here for anything to happen.
Yeah.
So I moved in to Copenhagen in 2005 and started meeting new people and getting bands started at that time too and stuff like that. And at the time for metal, there was not really that of a strong scene going on in Copenhagen. And from a lot of the people I met and knew and my experience of going to shows were that there was a lot of like the whole rock star attitude going on, which I did not care much for. I always just thought it was weird because we all just losers in the end. Most of us not making a living of it anyway. So the whole attitude and arrogance around that kind of thing was just really weird to me.
Yeah.
And then I had friends that started playing punk music also. And then I got to see the way of the whole DIY, everybody doing everything themselves and setting things up and everybody being a part of everything going on. And the less of the attitude thing. And I really liked that and embraced that and started doing a lot of punk stuff too. And then I just kind of started doing my own death metal things since that was my passion from before I was into punk. That maybe that could be combined and maybe that was a way of doing it instead of everything having to be so much build around status or whatever you say.
Right.
Because I always just prefer to be about the product of things more than the people behind it or doing it or whatever, because I didn't really care about that. It was more just a thing we could all enjoy together.
Right. When did, because I mean, you guys, from what I've seen, you guys have the scene, it's a cool, tight-knit scene that seems to be going on right now. I mean, when did that start off happening with the death metal and everything?
That was something we would create ourselves, really.
Yeah.
When we started Undergang in 2008, we didn't really expect much to happen or anything like people really caring about what we do. We were just a couple of friends that wanted to play death metal. So we got a band going, and then we thought, well, it'd be fun to have like some sort of stupid nickname for where we're from. And there was the punk scene in Copenhagen, and they called themselves the Killtown punk scene.
Okay.
So we just thought, Killtown, all right, we'll make it dumber. And our drummer, Anders in Undergang, suggested we'll just call it Killtown. So we started using that for the origin of where the band Undergang was from. We were from Killtown, Denmark. And then we got together with some other friends, and we were all about trying to do a festival. And I said it should be strictly death metal because at the time, around 2009, when we were talking about this, there was starting to be more bands playing like an older style of death metal again. In Scandinavia especially, we noticed, because that was kind of where we had our breeding ground. Okay. And we decided we would do a strictly underground death metal festival, and I said we should call it Killtown Death Fest. And around that, some more people started playing in bands, and I thought it was cool that we start our own little circle of bands and doing so. We called that the Killtown Death Militia at that time, which was probably more just of a stupid romanticized brainchild of mine that never really came into being. But nonetheless, there was something we were trying to build up at that time. And there was a few bands that started going, and some, I guess most of them really died again and turned into other bands, and some people left and some people continued and stuff like that. Yeah. There was another band called Mold that was rehearsing next to us downstairs that later turned into both Phrenelith and Toughus. Okay, right. There was also a band called Reverie, and they turned into some other prog bands and black metal bands and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess that might cover that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's cool, and it's like, honestly, yeah, it's kind of funny because you're kind of central to it all from my eyes. I mean, just from looking into you and everything, like between the Killtown Death Fest, your production, the distributing stuff from around you, promoting stuff around you, and being in like half the bands and things like that. It's pretty cool. Like, that's why I really want to talk to you, because I really like talking to people who are, I mean, when someone's in multiple death metal bands, it always screams to me that, I mean, they're passionate about it. They're, maybe they're like a lifer. They're not in it for a minute and out. And then when I was looking into some of your stuff, and I mean, I already seen the amount of bands you're in and everything else you've done. It's like, this guy is passionate about metal, which is cool.
Hey man, I like death metal. Death metal is cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what was like the first couple of albums that you got that made you even like the genre? Like, what was the ones that pulled you into it?
I still remember that the first song that took me by surprise and blew me away was Domination, from the album Domination by Morbid Angel.
Okay.
Oh, actually, I made that mistake. Throne Domination, I heard, is Where the Slime Lives, of course.
Yeah.
That really stood out to me, and I was just blown away by the intensity of the double kicks and the vocals. I didn't really understand how you could make a voice sound like that, and the effects on there. The whole thing was just so extreme to me that I had to dig in deeper.
That's like the perfect one too, because it's so simple, heavy, catchy. It could pull someone new in. Yeah.
It really did for me, at least. I know a lot of people would probably not like it, and I think they were already downhill by that time, but that album has a special place for me because it was my introduction.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, there's so many albums like that where people start hating them, but if you found it first, I mean, yeah, it's going to be special.
I do. Yeah.
So then you just dug in deeper from there?
Yeah, definitely. Then I started, I think the second band I discovered after that was Grave. And then just trying to find similar things by going to whatever record stores we had up in Helsingør, close to where I lived, and finding from that section what there was available. And there was a sort of underground, weird secondhand store called Dr. Dizzy in the main street also that had a lot of bootlegs and stuff like that too. So I went in there and felt extremely uncomfortable because I felt like I was not cool enough to go through those things.
Yeah.
And picked up everything. So once in a while I want to have a bit of money, like once a month, to bring back home, and then listen and look into thanks lists on there or whatever was related and the labels, and then see what else I could find by those labels or bands.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the old school way of doing it.
I always thought that was really cool. I always really appreciate it and go through the thanks list and see what bands are these guys in touch with, and would there be something for me? Yeah,
it was fun. You just kind of like go by the name, and then you have to go pick it up, and see if it's good or not. I mean, there was no way of like checking it out then.
Definitely not. No, it's all about the name and the cover, really.
Did you guys ever have, like, I know in the States when I was younger, we had a store called FYE, and you could go in there and they would have like a little listening booth, so you could go and you could throw it on, and then you could actually hear like a minute or a 30-second clip. Did you guys ever have that?
Yeah, we had some of the bigger stores. They would have like a couple of stands where there would be headphones you can go, and then you could bring your CD to the counter and ask if you could hear that, and they will go down and let you have that put on. Yeah. So something like that, I guess. But an entire booth, that sounds cool too.
Yeah, it was for a little while, and then it went away. I don't I just remember, that's how I would try not to waste my money, at least, and see if something was good or not,
There's always a chance and a bit of a risk.
Right. So do you still listen to like much of that older stuff now, or do you stay more up to date like on the new stuff? Or
well, I guess like most people, we always go back to the same thing that kind of like made you fall in love with the genre at first. But I'm very interested in what's going on still too, and I try to be a bit involved also because I know a lot of people still from around having toured and playing shows and interacting, having a label and the band. So I'm a little bit on and off in touch with a lot of newer bands too, and the scene is very strong and very much alive at the moment too. So I think it's great. Definitely, it's very much alive in 2020 now.
What's the change been like since when you started the band to now? Have you noticed just that huge boom?
I think when we first started out, there was like several other bands going at the same time. From my point, especially, a lot of things were going on in Scandinavia at the time. There was a bit of the Finnish band standing out that is now more recognized, also like Crips and what else do we have from that time? Yeah, and then some of the Swedish bands that are not around anymore, and for a lot of it, thank God, anyway. But then it kind of died down again for a few years, I think. And then for the last 5 years or so, it just seemed like it's been blooming and just getting bigger and bigger every year with more and more bands and, well, a lot higher quality with a lot of things too, I think.
Yeah. Are you happy with the way that death metal is going right now, like with the trends and this and that, or is there anything you like, don't like?
Well, there's always a bit of both on there, but I think it's good. I mean, it also means there's a lot more interest in the things that I do, and that means that I can do that more because there's more interest, and that means it generates some money to produce things better and more widespread, which is cool.
Yeah.
Which is also why that I've taken a sabbatical from my regular job from after summer here to try to go all in on just the label and the store and my bands and doing art for death metal in general. So I'm taking that risk because there seems to be the interest right now.
Hey, that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So I know you mentioned your artwork. You've been doing that. I know for all your albums. I mean, how long have you been doing that for?
Like any other kid, I guess. So I was just into the macabre and like horror comics and stuff like that. So I started drawing like that when I was a kid with all the mushroom-looking skulls and stuff like that, which was all just garbage. And then I stopped for several years. And then when I started getting into playing in my own bands and having friends playing in bands, I had some people asking for me to do some things for that, and I did that for some of their own projects I started and for local show posters and stuff like that. And that just evolved from there. And then from seeing like the old Carcass thing where Jeff Walker was doing a lot of the drawings, and with Autopsy with Chris Reifert doing some of their logos and drawings, and Epitigo with Steve there doing art and logo and stuff like that, I just thought, well, if we just keep everything in the band, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And it's free because we don't have to pay anyone.
Right.
So there's several aspects of that seem very practical. So then I just continue doing that for better and for worse.
What's like your favorite piece you've done?
I still think that the Misanthropologie Undergang LP cover, just because it's kind of iconic in the adaptation of the Vitruvian Man like that, is cool and has a standout value for that. But almost every time I do something new, I feel like, well, this might be the best, which I guess is a healthy progression at least.
Right. So we were talking about Killtown Death Fest too a little bit. So are you still involved with that? Like, how involved are you with that whole fest?
It's a bit of a sore subject, to be honest, though, by now. But no, I'm not involved with it anymore.
Okay.
I started out with, we were like 15 people at first. And then a lot of people dropped out from that to the next year, from 2010 to 11. And then people left from that and on and off. And we did 5 years from 10 till 14 back then. And then I just did not have fun with it, and I couldn't manage it. So I said to my one partner left at the time that I don't want to do this anymore. It's not fun for me, and it's too stressful, and this is just how it is. And we decided to close it down. And then he kept trying to persuade me to start us doing it again. And eventually I said yes to that, and we got a couple of people together again, and we started doing it like a one-off thing at first. I felt like would be necessary. And it was good and a success for what it was. And it was cool, and I was more interested than I ever was in the past. Maybe also because a lot of the new bands had come around, there was more recognition for death metal again than I was in 2010 till 14. But yeah, it was still, I could just feel that it was not for me. I did not enjoy doing big things to that scale, and I could not get involved and do as much as I wanted to because I had too much going on. I just did not have the drive for it.
Yeah.
So to be honest to myself and to my partners and that, it was just not the right thing. But at the same time, I felt like it was also very much a part of my creation, and I brought the name to, and I brought the visual, I brought the idea of what it should be. So if I was not involved, I would appreciate that maybe it was not called the same thing. Use the same channels, and that has not been respected or followed. And I've been tried to be very negotiable about it, but things have not really been going the way I want, and it is what it is. So I just try to act like it's not existing and let that be for what it is. But I'm not enjoying it, and I feel a bit stepped on in it.
Yeah,
it's a weird thing. But people like it, I'm involved that they should do that. I just don't want to get involved and have anything to do with it. I just want everything dragged away from my association with it, even though it's kind of hard.
Yeah, because all I knew was you were there in the beginning. I remember hearing, and I never knew like what was going on with it after that. But I mean, I would imagine that'd be a lot of work. I was just watching that documentary on Maryland Death Fest. I don't know if you've ever played that one?
We did with Phrenelith. We never been offered to play with Undergang. We played some of the European ones, but
okay, yeah. Well, I mean, there was a documentary on it, and they just put it out for free the other day. And since it got canceled, this year, and just seeing what goes into a fest and the amount of work, and it seems like a really cool thing to do, but then again, it just seems like a lot of fucking work.
Yeah, especially for something like that, which is an even bigger scale.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, so back to how do you say? Is it? I mean, in America we would just say Undergang, but how is the correct way of saying it?
Oh, we say Undergang. If you kind of think about you saying like inner something, so it's like two N's instead of an N and D in the beginning, and then just the typical Danish A that is Undergang.
Okay. Well, I knew it was wrong, but
hey man, that's all right. I appreciate you. People are trying at least. It's
right.
And I have experienced before in the past when we've been touring, say in America, and people just expect us to be an American or English speaking band, and they ask like, "Why are you called Undergang?" Like, well, it's not really like that, is it?
Right.
But it's hard to understand, which makes sense when it sounds so much like an English sounding word too.
Right. What when you started that band, like, I mean, because that first album is awesome, and I mean, for like a first album to come right out with, what was like the mindset when you like started the band? Did you know exactly what you wanted to do with it, or did you guys get together and just start messing around, or what?
Well, I pretty much had the idea for what kind of death metal band I wanted to start for a few years at the time, and I've been writing riffs and songs on and off for a couple of years by that time that we got together in 2008. And we were originally even supposed to have 2 more members. So it'll be a separate singer and another person on bass, and then Casper on guitar and me on guitar and Anders on drums. But the other 2 people never showed up for the first couple of rehearsals, so they kind of limited things. So we just moved around to make it work as a 3-piece. And we just started jamming the songs I've been writing on, and we had a few songs ready pretty fast. We're pretty excited about it. We just wanted to make something really low-tuned and heavy and somewhat catchy and just brutal, but fun.
Right.
So I had my friend at the time called Jonas do album cover for us because I didn't feel comfortable with doing the actual cover myself at that time. Because to me, it was my first release, a first album and an LP. I was too insecure to want to have something to be a part of being on the cover of that, as it was a big deal. And yeah, then January 2010, our LP was released. It was our debut album, and that was pretty much what we wanted. And it was a very big day. It was very cool.
Had you ever done vocals before that?
Not like that at all, though. I've been screaming a bit in some punk bands I was playing in before that, but not like that at all. I just had to kind of... Well, the vocalist didn't show up for the rehearsals, so I guess I'll sing. And then I just had to try to figure out how I can sound very low and brutal.
That was the idea, though, all along. You wanted some low guttural vocals for it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I always just love the way that, say, Bill Steer's vocal will be, and yeah, well, some of that mixed with what do I do, Anti-Bowman or something like that, just something really extreme and very low.
Yeah, for sure. So that's awesome, because I mean, that's something that I love about like the progression of like the albums is like it seems like you just get lower and more disgusting like as you go along, which is just awesome.
Oh man, I can't even stand listening to the first 2 albums really because of the vocal performances on there, because I was still just trying to find out what to do and I had no idea.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, but
it was between that and then the 3rd album that I kind of found the way that I'm doing it now.
Right. Well, it makes sense if you just had to figure out, as you were going with it. But I don't know, man. I still like that first album. It's just so, like you said, you guys were trying to keep some catchiness in there, and the fucking riffs and the catchiness on that thing. And it's so short. I mean, whenever I play it, it's like I play it at least twice in a row because it's just easy to throw right back on.
I like that, man. I think that's cool. We're actually trying to do a bit like that ever since that, also with the last album and the new album coming out, that we want to keep it like around half an hour so you don't get fed up, but you feel like, maybe I'll give it another spin.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's my favorite kind of death metal album. I mean, 40 minutes, it's like, that's the sweet spot for me.
It's perfect.
You can always hit play again,
That is true. I mean, we got told something by Rain and Blood, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. Some albums it's fine if some slower albums, you got to draw it out a little longer and everything, but it's hard to beat a good short. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's what I liked about your last album too. And exactly like you said, it's pretty short, it's pretty concise, and it's the same thing, man. I mean, you can hit play again on that one.
I like that. Very sick.
Yeah. So you guys put that one out 2017. The last one? Yeah. Yeah. When that one seemed like you guys had quite a bit of attention on. I remember seeing that one pop up quite a bit when that came out.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the combination of things was there, but something must have been done right. I guess we've been touring quite a lot before that, especially in America also, leading up to that with like these long 5-week summer tours for a couple of years in a row. So we had a bit more of our name built up, and then Dark Descent, who was also putting it out, also got bigger and bigger. So I guess a mixture of that and decent PR campaign might have been helpful.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not like you guys totally changed big time on that from the last album or anything. I mean, the last album was killer too before that, But for some reason, yeah, I just really seen the name and the album blow up that year.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what to say, but I definitely felt that way. I could feel on the shows we were playing and the tours, the shows got bigger and better and stuff like that. And
that's a good point about Dark Descent, though, because they were really starting to blow up at that point. I know I was checking out everything they were putting out, and some people might have been taking even more note with that.
Yeah, it's very cool. Matt is a great guy, and he does a great job with the label, I think. And it's really cool to see how that has also just been growing up together at the same time as we've been around, which is fun and cool. And
yeah, I love that. I talked to Matt a couple years back, and because I love when a label, you can check everything out from it. And a lot of the bigger labels now, metal, you just can't do that. You don't know what you're going to get. But with like a Dark Descent or something like that, you know what you're going to get.
Pretty much, yeah, which is cool.
Yeah.
I definitely respect and appreciate that too. Yeah, it's cool. He's a fan of the music, and he cares for the things in the bands. So total support.
That's awesome. You guys, have you been working on the new album, or what's going on with that?
It's done. We got the mixer, the mix and mastering approved like a month ago by now, I think. So now we're just maybe waiting on me getting the cover and layout done.
Okay.
Be out after the summer. Originally, it was supposed to be out this July when we had a couple of shows on the East Coast planned with Pissgrave and Mephitic Corpse.
Oh, nice.
But due to the whole virus and pandemic and the end of the world temporarily right now, the labels and us, we decided that there was no reason to be too much in a rush since sales might not be as much in priority right now and stuff like that. So take it after the summer when things might have calmed down a little bit. Right.
Oh, makes sense. Why rush it?
Yeah, I guess it's not like we can go out and do shows or tours to promote it anyway. So take it easy and spend some time making some great visuals for it.
Right.
Hopefully.
What was something that you wanted to like kind of keep from the sound of the last one, and what was something you kind of were like, we got to change this up a little bit or do better?
I think everything's just been like a very liquid, evolving, natural progression of everything we've done. So it's not like drastically anything we changed. One thing we wanted to remain was that we wanted to work with Greg Wilkinson in Earhammer's studio in Oakland, California, because he's been producing our last two albums, and I love working with him, and I think he really makes Undergang sound the best.
Okay, yeah.
So even though we couldn't go over there to record this time, we still wanted him to be involved. So we had recordings done here in Copenhagen. We went down to a friend's studio called Ballade Studio in the same rehearsal basement as we have practice room, the same place we also recorded the Phrenelith album and the EP and the new album coming from Phrenelith also. So it was a pleasure working there, recording like that. And then we had things sent over to Greg and Earhammer, and he has then been mixing and mastering there. So the sound is pretty much familiar to the last two albums, very dark and very bass heavy and just nasty sounding. And we're going to keep it around like half an hour again. And then we have a little bit of the same things, some shorter, faster songs again, some of the more mid-tempo, usual 12 years of Undergang kind of sounding songs, and some slower ones too.
So with it being that length, did you guys do a lot of trimming things down, or is that just what you wrote?
We wrote some extra songs this time. We recorded more songs. So we have on the same session also, we're doing a split LP with Anatomia as a follow-up, even though we did a split before, just because our relationship is still there and we have a connection. So we just thought, why not?
Yeah. You guys have done a lot of splits and those kind of things. Is that just like an extra way to give people what they want or keep the name out there, things like that?
Not really. I think split releases are fun. And for my personal sake and taste in it, I think it's cool if there's some sort of personal relationship going on between the bands.
Yeah.
Which has been the case here. So sometimes we've done the things with friends bands, or it has been a case of something to have put out for a tour, also a special show. Then we'll team up with the bands we're playing with, and then we'll each donate something for a split and then be available at the shows. So something like that.
No, it's always cool when you listen to a split and then you know the one band, but maybe you're not familiar with the other one, and it's a great way to find new bands for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It could be a cool introduction.
Well, cool. I can't wait to hear this new stuff, man.
Oh, speaking of that, thank you. I appreciate that. I was just going to say that the new album also sees the introduction of two new members to the lineup, especially.
Okay.
So we have a new bassist and we have a new lead guitarist. So there's, for once, actually going to be leads on this album.
Okay.
Terrifying. It sounds great and it really makes the music even more intense. There's something new, a new layer added to the band, which I'm sure people will like and appreciate. It's still 100% Undergang, but just fatter.
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
I know. It's probably not. I promise that.
with Phrenelith, that album, Desolate Landscapes, it's just like, it just seems like you guys have been playing forever already. You know, it's a really mature sounding album for being like the first full length.
Well, that's cool to hear, though. We've been practicing a lot at that time. We used to get together several times a week and practice, and we were playing a lot of shows at that time also. So I think we just really spent time on trying to be good at playing the songs that we had.
Okay. Is it different with I'm not even going to say the name, but between your bands with the writing style, like with that one, do you guys work together? Do you send each other riffs, or what do you guys do for that?
In the past with Undergang, it's mainly just been me writing the riffs and the structures and stuff like that, and then we get it together at rehearsal. With Phrenelith, it's more Simon who writes the riffs, and then we work it out at the rehearsal room together, structures and stuff like that, and then I do a bit of additions, but it's not, that's probably why you can tell there's difference in the writing too, because I don't bring the main meat to the table there.
Mm-hmm. I know you guys both do vocals. How do you handle who does what on that?
I just like the mixture of things there. It gets a bit more live, and you can kind of like swap things and stuff like that. Simon writes most of the lyrics in that too, and then we try to figure out what makes sense as to split it up, who takes what parts and stuff like that, without it being a lead vocalist, so both are like sort of on equal terms. But yeah, it's usually something we work out in the studio, really, because we get it all sorted out before that. It's not till the final phase comes there.
Right. It seemed like a lot of people were into that one too when that album came out, man. It's like I remember seeing that one almost just as much.
Yeah, I mean, for it's seeming like that there was hardly any promotion for it, really. Then it did pretty good on its own.
Yeah. I
guess we were trying to get out and play a lot of shows at that time too, and do some tours to try to get the name of the album out there like that. But I did feel a little bit like we were not proper promoted for that one, so I'm a bit surprised that it did as well as it did, and it's now in several pressings from both labels and stuff like that. But
right,
yeah.
So you guys are doing? Is it just an EP then that's next?
I think I confused some things. Now I was referring to we released an EP 2 years ago, and I think it is, but we just finished an album also.
Okay.
We recorded that back in October, just before we did the Phrenelith album, the Undergang album, and we had some artwork painted by Timo Ketula, who you might be familiar with his art from Dead Congregation and Titan Blood and stuff like that too.
Okay, yeah.
I'm a big fan of his art for a long time, and always wanted to work with him on something that I was playing on. So since all the members in Phrenelith was fans of his work, we got in touch with him, and thankfully he accepted, and he's done a very cool painting for us.
Nice.
So that is already done. The recordings are finished, but we're still not really satisfied with the mix, and things are going pretty slow right now. So I'm not really sure when we're going to get that finished up, but everything is recorded though. We just need to find some changes that we're happy with.
Yeah.
And it'll go off to Nuclear Winter Records, who's going to put it out on CD and LP sometime this fall.
And anything different from the last one? Is it down the same lane, or?
We tried to tune a little bit lower on this one to get a little bit of a different sound to it, like we did on the Chimerian Offspring demo that came out a few years back.
Okay.
So some of those songs are being re-recorded on this, and then there's more songs that's in the same vein. And for some reason, so far, the issue is that the guitars don't sound heavier. And I don't understand it, because we tune even lower than we do with any of the other things we've done.
Yeah.
But that needs to be worked on. Other than that, I guess there's a little bit more of we do a bit more vocals on the top of each other, and there's a bit more atmospheric stuff, I guess, in a way, in a not lame way, but just as in... It's a bit more dark, I guess.
Okay, well, it sounds good.
I hope so. I think so.
Well, at least you don't have to be in a big rush with the mixing and mastering with everything going on right now. I guess you might as well take your time and perfect it.
It kind of feels that way, but we're also just being slow and not being super good at being in touch about things with the whole end of the world at the moment.
Right. Yeah. So with your label and your, distribution / store, Extremely Rotten Productions.
Yeah.
What do you look for with that? I mean, it seems like you do definitely a lot of the local bands around there, but you've got some other stuff going on too.
I mainly really just, as for releases, I just prefer to work with friends. So it's just usually local bands that I like, or are consisting of friends, or international bands of friends, or some releases from the past that I really like, or in certain cases, some new releases that I really like from bands I dig, and then I try to get involved with that. But a lot of it is just about helping the scene and my friends out, really. And thankfully, I know a lot of people that does a lot of cool things, so it's a real pleasure.
When did you start this out?
Originally in 2011. At first, just wanted to have like some sort of name for a new promo tape we were doing for Undergang before our second album. It was just in time for when we were going on our first US tour in 2011 with SF Alex doing a West Coast tour built around playing Chaos and Terras. And we just did a recording of the new album, Torturdød of Skiller, at that time. And we had a couple of songs we wanted to put on the tape to have something new out when we were playing shows, because at that time it was already over a year ago since we did our debut album, and we felt like it would be something new. And I just felt like it was not enough just to have a tape on its own. I wanted to have a wider spread. So I thought, well, I really like the Anatomia Corporis Humani demo from Grave, and that song Extremely Rotten Flesh is extremely fucking sick. So I'll use that as a name and call it Extremely Rotten Records at that time.
Yeah,
even though it was just a tape. So I put that together for that, and we did like 800-900 copies of the tape and sent that out around. And then I thought, well, this is fun. I'll try to release more things too. And then it's just grown since, with a couple of years of hiatus in between and stuff like that. But
yeah.
I think it was really when we had Sam as a bassist in Undergang a few years back. He kind of gave me a kick in the ass that I needed to say, well, do something about it. There's an interest in what you do, and you do some cool things. Do it more. All right, I'll give it a shot. And since then, we released like 3/4 of the release we put out has been coming out in the last few years or something like that, really. And then I've just been expanding that. I've been doing a distro besides that since 2005 or something like that. So it's been things building up, and I've been just starting out in milk crates being brought out to shows and stuff like that. Still growing and growing. And then we were looking for a new place to live, and we found this place where there's a record store with an apartment behind. So I thought, well, it's time to do a store.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And now there's a little death metal store in Copenhagen.
That's cool. Yeah, I was browsing through there a little bit. It's cool. It seems like even the stuff you have on there, not besides what you've released through the label, but just the stuff for the distro, it's like it seems pretty personalized. You just same kind of thing. You're just picking things that you are into, or how does that work?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a control freak with a lot of things, and one of them is also what kind of stuff I want to have in my store and on label and distro and such. So I usually just mainly try to go with the things that I think is cool going on right now, or just personal taste, or things that I know that it sounds late to say, but like our customers or so are interested in and what they'd be looking for, or what people ask for coming into the store. But mainly I just go with what I think is cool myself. We can actually say, this is what I recommend. You should buy this.
Yeah. I like that. It's cool. It felt like that. It felt personalized, and it's like if you find a few things you like on there, you know that the rest of it you can probably trust a little bit.
Try to go over that at least.
Yeah. What have you been like checking out lately, more recently? Any newer bands or anything like that you've been into?
Oh! You get asked in the spot. I can never remember anything.
I know.
I'm not even sure right now. God damn it. I have nothing to say. I know that The Inquisitor, which is a local band, has just recorded the new mini LP, and I just got that the other day, and I've listened to that a lot.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a minute since they put out an album, so that's cool.
Well, they're super busy. They're just writing new songs all the time. It's stupid, and the quality is so high. I think they're an incredibly underrated band for what they are, and I hopefully sometime the people will actually understand how great they are.
Right.
What about you? Did you find anything that you like in recent times?
Yeah, there's a couple ones like this week I was checking out. You ever hear of the band called Cryptworm?
Oh yeah, from the UK. We played some shows with them last year.
Okay. Oh, nice. Yeah. Well, they've got like a new. I think it's only like 4 or 5 songs, maybe like a little demo or something like that, or a little release. But I was checking that out and going back into some of their older stuff, and that's some solid, dirty sounding death metal.
Yeah, some pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah.
I saw that Misako Noho is putting out a new mini LP, I think, for them, right?
Yeah, that's probably what it was.
Yeah, but looking forward to checking that out at least.
Yeah, that one. There was another one. What the hell was it? Started with an S. Oh, okay. I don't know if they're a new band. I just found them. One of our listeners was telling us about them, but the band's called Suppression, and the album is Repugnant Remains.
Oh yeah, I saw that. It has like an eyeball on the cover, right? I think we had that.
Yeah, it's something weird. Yeah. It's a different cover. I can't even remember it that well, but I don't know. That was one that stuck out to me. It's kind of a little thrashy. Got a lot of cool bass stuff going on. That kind of like Martin Van Junen vocals, and yeah, very sick. Interesting.
I don't think I ever got around to listen to that.
Yeah, I think it's depending on your taste and stuff. I thought it was pretty cool.
Very sick. And that, I guess I'm staying pretty excited to hear some more from Mephitic Corpse.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Debut demo was great.
Yeah, where are they from? They're from here, the U.S.?
Yeah, they're from California.
Mephitic Corpse, yeah.
They just did a free song demo last year, I think it was. Or was it this year? No, it was last year, yeah. We did a version of it here also, and Headsplit did a couple of pressings of it too.
Okay.
It's super sick, super sludgy.
I know I've heard it, but I can't remember it. I think because you guys were going to be touring or something like that, or you were going to play some shows with them.
Yeah, we had them come out for some shows on the East Coast. We were supposed to play this summer, which will now just be sometime next year.
Yeah.
But hey, man, take a note. I'm sure you'll like it. They're really cool.
Well, man, it was cool talking. I mean, I find out what's going on with the bands, like as far as touring and all that kind of stuff, but I know there's nothing to report.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Are you guys just gonna wait and see? Just kind of hold off until anything's clear?
Oh, we're just gonna be around. We're just gonna be in the rehearsal room. We're trying doing these live stream rehearsal shows. We just did a test of it a few weeks back. We're gonna try to see maybe make like a monthly thing while this whole thing is going on.
Oh, awesome.
We can play some of the new songs, showcase that, and we try to ask out and say if people want to hear certain songs, they can come with wishes and we'll try to learn them. So recently we've been trying to relearn some songs we haven't played in a couple of years, some songs we never played live before and stuff like that too. So it's kind of fun.
And you're able to get the sound pretty good where you want it for that? That's all. It seems like that's always the hard thing with those live streams.
Well, it sounds like 4 creeps in the basement playing on the instruments as good as I can, right? But it's pretty authentic, I guess, for our needs.
Right, yeah.
We're trying to work out the Cult Nation approach, just asking if we wanted to do like a live stream through their channels too.
Right.
We'll see what works out. Just to do something more fun in the meantime while you can go out and play shows and still some sort of interact with people.
It's cool. I think it helps. I watched, it was a while back now, but Enslaved did it. I thought, they had a cool one, and I know a few bands have been trying it out, which I think it's cool. Yeah. At least it gives you a slight feeling like you're at a show.
There's something going on. I think it's fun. It's a cool idea, and for my own selfish reasons, it's kind of fun just doing something a little bit different too.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. Well, like I said, thanks a lot for the talk, and can't wait for it. It's awesome. We got two albums from you that are going to be coming out soon. So, and do you want to list off any of the other bands? I know you're even in a couple other bands.
Well, I recently left Hyperdontia, so I'm not really involved with what's going on there anymore.
Okay.
And also at a band I'm doing with Henrik and Thomas from The Inquisitor and Tim from Pissgrave. We did a 7-inch last year, just as a demo, and we're going to try to do a mini LP or so throughout the year here, which of course has been made more difficult now, but it's something we're working on. And then Wormridden is slowly working on our debut album since our last recording from 2012 now. But
okay.
I guess playing a few shows in Japan last year, maybe get a bit of a kick in butt to try to get something done.
Yeah. And
then some other new things we're working on with some friends here in town, so there'll be new things coming out that I'm involved in for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. I can't wait to Ulcerot. That's a cool one too, so sweet.
Very sick, man. Thanks a lot for the interview. I really appreciate it. And thanks for
all right, man.
What we do.